thanks for being here. My name is Kat and I make houseplant videos here on Good and Planty. If you just so happen to absolutely love this video, please consider liking it, commenting, subscribing, or following me on Instagram. All of these things help me grow my channel like a plant. I did ask on Instagram if any of you have questions for me, and you all came through as usual. If you want to be part of future Q&As, I highly recommend following me on Instagram at Good and Planty, GOODNDPLANTY. So huge thank you to all of you guys, and yeah, I got a bunch of questions. Some are Planty, I'm pulling them up on my phone. Some are Planty, some are personal, and I'm not afraid to answer any of them, so we're just gonna jump right into it. Okay, the first question is, what is my sign? So we're starting off a little bit easy. I'll give you my big three, okay? My best friend is very much into astrology, and she hooked me up with my big three. So I'm a Scorpio sun, Libra moon, and Capricorn rising. I don't know what much of that means besides the Scorpio. Feel free to read me in the comments. You can be a little mean, but maybe not too mean. I don't know how bad that is for me. Just don't unsubscribe. The same person asked, thank you for double asking. That's very nice. Can my plants survive without fertilizer? Can they survive? Maybe. I just will not recommend not fertilizing your plants. You can get away with not fertilizing for a long period of time, especially if you're not making your own soil. I highly recommend looking into fertilizer and starting to create a little fertilizing routine that works for you. I am very bad at keeping up with my fertilizer, if I'm being completely transparent, but I do add it to my routine enough that they do get nutrients. The reason that I say why it's more important to fertilize if you are making your own soil is because a lot of the times when, like for me, for example, I use a cocoa peat base and that is void of any nutrition. So I do also mix in worm castings. That is why I recommend mixing in worm castings into your soil, because that is an organic way to introduce some nutrients to your plants, but it is very gentle, and over time a lot of that will kind of like wash away or fall out of the pot, compact with your soil. So it's very important to continue to introduce nutrients to your plants, especially when they are growing. So that is why a lot of people recommend fertilizing during the spring and summer growing seasons. If you have more fertilizing questions, I definitely recommend checking out my fertilizing video. I go in depth on a lot of the basics you need to know for fertilizing. Fertilizing can be a very tedious and complicated topic, I think, for beginner or even intermediate houseplant owners. So I tried to break down a lot of the key basic concepts that will help you figure out what fertilizer is best for you and your life and your plants. So I recommend checking out that video, and I always recommend fertilizing your plants. Okay, next question. How old is my oldest plant? My oldest plant at this point is probably, oh my God, I have it. It's my cactus, and that is definitely my oldest plant. I've had it since high school, believe it or not. At that point, it's, I've been graduated for 4, 5, 7-year-old plant. Yeah, that's kind of scary. Next question. Okay, how have I been? This is actually from a friend, so that's sweet. I have been very good. I have gotten a few questions about how being single has been. If you are new here, I got out of a 7-year-long relationship semi-recently, a few months ago, and that has completely altered my life around. If you can relate to me, I'm sorry. It's one of those things where you know it's for the better, and luckily my ex is a very kind person. We have a good relationship. At least on that front, it's made it a lot easier to process. All in all, my life is fairly chaotic right now as I try to transition into a new place. I am moving soon. But other than the chaos, I have found a lot of happiness in my own independence, my houseplants, and definitely my community of friends. They're amazing. Yeah, I feel like a lot is coming together for me. It's not perfect by any means, but I think I'm in a good spot, and I'm definitely learning a lot about myself, which is very important, I think, for anyone in their 20s. Yeah, that's my little update for how I've been in general, but I definitely have more juicy questions to come. Can you show your tattoos and explain the meanings? I would be happy to do that. I actually got quite a few questions questions about my tattoos, and I was so honored because I love my tattoos so much. I just didn't know anyone cared about them. But my first tattoo I'll share is this one behind my ear. I think it's this ear. Yeah, it is this ear. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's 2 flowers. It's me and my little sister's birth flowers crisscrossing. I am going to add my mom in there on the top, I think, and maybe extend the stem. This is probably my least favorite tattoo, just aesthetically. Before anyone yells at me for not including my brother, if you knew I had a brother, him and my sister share a birth flower, so it's kind of representative of both. What's next? I have my massive snake. This is just a generic snake. I wanted one, I got one. This is done by my great friend Lee. If you want to check them out and you are in New York or the surrounding area, I definitely recommend checking them out. I'll have their Instagram here. I have this little 6 here. I got this with my best friend in Toronto, the 6. I have a matryoshka, otherwise known as a nesting doll. I don't know how well you can see that. This was also done by Lee. I'm Russian, so it is what it is. I have this barbed wire with no significance whatsoever, but it's done really well. I absolutely love the shading on it. I think it was a very good choice on my end. I have this, oh my God, it's so hard to show these. How do people do this? I have that. It's a scorpion, but the tail turns into a rose. I thought it was cute. I think it was one of my first tattoos. I still like it, but. And then I have this plant here, and that is a tea plant. It's Camellia sinensis, I wanna say. And then I have one on my side. I'm gonna try to show it very modestly, so don't get scared. Right here, it says, Каждому свою, which is Russian for each their own, which is something I definitely live by. That was actually my first tattoo ever. I had my mom help me pick out a quote because she absolutely hates tattoos. So my little way to get around that was to incorporate her in the decision of what it'll say, incorporate some of my culture. Yeah, so that was my first tattoo. It was on my ribs. Not a smart choice. But I will say now all the other tattoos feel very easy breezy in comparison. So that's my tattoo tour. I don't think I excluded anything. What's the plant you most regret buying? The thing is, this is a little philosophical. I try not to regret buying any plant because any plant I buy teaches me something at the end of the day. Even if it dies, I learned that I should not have that plant in my home, or I did something that killed it. So I don't really regret any of the plants that I have bought. If I had to pick one, maybe the massive spider plant that I got. I thought that it would be easier to put somewhere, but and when I bought it, it was in a hanging basket, and then I repotted it into like a 12-inch pot, terracotta pot that is not hangable anywhere because it is way too heavy. It eats up a lot of space, and here it is fine in this house that I currently live in. However, it's just completely impractical for any other living situation. So luckily I have a friend that I can give it to, but that was just a plant that I already had experience with, so I knew how to take care of them. It wasn't really so much of like a learning purchase. It was more of an aesthetic one. It ended up not working for my place at all. So if I had to pick one, I would say the absolutely monstrous spider plant that I have, but I still love her and I'm happy to give her to my friend. So there we go. Next question, have you thought about doing spring merch? Oh my God, I haven't released new like exclusive merch in a minute, and I think that's because right now, in all honesty, I am coasting on Good and Planty. It's really hard for me to kind of go outside of my schedule that I've kind of built for myself here. My plan after experimenting this last year is to do a spring merch release and a Halloween release every year. That being said, we are in spring and I have not done anything to do a spring merch release. So unfortunately, I don't think that's gonna be happening this year. Maybe after I move and I am settled, a summer merch release could happen. But regardless, October, Halloween merch, I'm so passionate about that's not going anywhere no matter what is going on in my life. So if you don't get a, you know, a springy summer merch release, you will definitely get a Halloween one. That is my piece on the merch. I just wanted to update you all on that. How many plants do I have at the moment? I have about 90, but I'm downsizing. So once I actually give away the plants that I am giving away, I will have about 75. When are you moving, and can you vlog a little for that? So I am moving May 1st, so not this weekend, but next weekend for me. I have not done anything for that move. I am quite a bit nervous. I do have 2 weeks to move, which is good, but I will absolutely be vlogging that experience. I will probably be vlogging the main plant move day because I don't think anybody really cares about me moving my bed and my furniture. So I will be vlogging the plant move primarily, and you can see all my emotions for that ride as you did with the last one. I will definitely be sharing that piece of my life with you. I will try to make it a bit more constructive since I've learned a few things from my last move. It's a nice small place, but it's perfect for one person. I have a roof. We're gonna get into some outdoor gardening. It's gonna be fun, and I'm really, really excited to share that all with you. Next question, how is single life? So I did touch on this a little bit before. Single life is very interesting, I will say. I don't know if I have any like incredible takeaways right now. I'm not feeling incredibly deep. Being single is interesting. It's so interesting after you've been in such a long-term relationship, you're living with that person, to then separate and suddenly be on your own with your own stuff. You are counting on yourself. It's a lot. There's definitely a learning curve to that. I do have family, I have friends, but they all live in a different state. I do have a small community here in Philly as well, but I feel like I'm like very much in count on myself mode. I try to break out of that here and there, but even just like stupid tasks like putting together a bed frame or hanging up like a shelf or something that is so much easier with two people, I find myself being really stubborn and trying to accomplish alone. Probably not good for me, but that's just the mindset that I'm in right now. Like, I can do it myself. So I've learned that about myself a bit recently. Other than that, I've found a lot of like freedom, which is interesting because I don't think of my past relationship as a very constrictive one, but just again, counting on yourself, living on your own schedule, not having to accommodate to someone, because any partnership, you're kind of like splitting things 50-50. It's a give and take, there's compromise, but right now I'm like strictly by myself. Mostly what I want to do, I can do, which has been, you know, kind of fun. So it's been an interesting journey, I would say. Lots of therapy, lots of self-reflection, not all like rom-com movie glamour single life, but we're getting there. I'm really proud of myself. I'm proud of my ex-partner as well. He is truly great. Yeah, I think that we're both like happy and finding our own little paths in this crazy little life. Name a plant you've been unsuccessful with and will never bring into your home again. Stromathy Trio Star. I don't think that's gonna surprise anyone. I've talked a lot of smack about the Stromathy Trio Star. I was hesitant to even bring it in. I called it a challenge for me. It went south, which I updated you all on, and now I'm giving it away. No shockers there, but will not be attempting that again. That's it. What is the dating scene like in Philly? Ooh, good question. Dead. I am dating, but it's pretty dead. It's also just fun to get to know people. At the same time, I will say, as someone who hasn't dated in 7 years and never truly dated because I got into my long-term relationship when I was 17, like, I don't know what the is going on at any time. I don't know how people do this. I'm confused. I need a hand guide, a guidebook or something. I don't understand dating one little bit. I've said that 50 times to probably everyone in my life. I hope it gets easier. Even if it doesn't, I'm still having fun getting to know people. I think it's pushed me to be a little bit more extroverted and get out of my comfort zone a bit. So dating can be fun, but it's also really, really confusing. And that is my honest piece on dating. And I think that's true regardless of where I lived. It's not just a Philly thing. Good luck to anyone dating in Philly. What have you discovered about yourself since becoming single? I learned so much about me. Well, I already touched, I am pretty stubborn right now. That's something that I kind of knew about myself, but kind of unpacking that a little bit more has been interesting. Another thing I will say, touching on what I just talked about, is I am a lot more extroverted than I originally thought. I don't know if it's because when you're going through something tough, you want to lean on community, lean on your friends, but I've noticed that I'm a lot more outgoing. I don't get as exhausted as fast going out, and I think it's just because, you know, it's a little bit of that push to surround yourself with people that aren't just your partner. It's not like me and Jonah were in our own little bubble all the time, but it certainly does push me to, you know, rekindle certain connections, build on other connections, and I think that's been a really, really fun and rewarding part of being single that I love. I'm stubborn and I'm more extroverted than I originally thought. I don't know if I would say I'm an extrovert, but I am more extroverted than I originally thought. How are you feeling about the fact that you've been living alone? Honestly, fine. I thought that it would be more, I thought that it would be more of a challenge than it actually was. I do miss having like my best friend there to just talk to whenever I wanted to, because it does get lonely. It is kind of fun to decorate how I would want to decorate and, like, you know, be fully in charge of everything. I personally thrive off of that. That is something that I've been enjoying, just having like full control. It does get lonely, don't get me wrong. Kind of like a mixed bag of things, and it's definitely a readjustment, but I've always liked living alone, so, and I have lived alone before, so it's not like a shock to me. Have you ever grown or thought of growing an herb garden? So that is exactly what I'm gonna be doing when I move on my rooftop. I think herbs are gonna be a very easy way for me to slowly get into outdoor gardening. I obviously will have limited space up there, and herbs are something that I use when I cook on like a daily, weekly basis. I'm really excited to get into that. I think it will give me a little bit of a win over growing herbs. I will definitely be able to use them. So yes to that, and I will update you all on how that goes. Not a question, it's been so nice to watch you grow into your own as an individual and thrive. Thank you so much. That was really sweet. I noticed that as I was picking my questions to read, and that like made me smile so much. So I just wanted to include it and give you a personal thank you for being so sweet to me. So thank you. Are you more into coffee or tea? I love both so much. I would say I am a bit more knowledgeable about coffee, and I drink coffee every day. However, the routine of tea and the comfort of tea also brings me a lot of peace. Like when I'm not feeling 100%, I always go right to making a cup of tea. I literally have the tea plant tattooed on my body. I love learning about tea. If I had to pick one, I would pick coffee because I am completely addicted to caffeine and would die without it, but tea also has a very special place in my heart. If you have any good resources on learning more about tea, like a book or something that's like not like a textbook, but like a good read, please let me know, because I would love to get more into that. Should I follow the directions on my fertilizer or fertilize less? It's a good question. For most fertilizers, I would say go less. It's always easier to go less and slowly bump up the concentration of your fertilized mix. If you go in too strong, you can burn your roots, and then your plant is gonna have a really hard time bouncing back from that. Whereas, you know, getting a little bit less nutrients than they can handle is not a disaster by any means. I would say start off more on the conservative side if you are mixing up your fertilizer, and then you can kind of increment up if you're not noticing like a big difference. I will say with liquid dirt though, which is a plant food, and things similar to liquid dirt, that I follow the instructions like to a T on, because it is such a gentle mix. I don't feel the need to overly dilute it, because it's very hard to burn your plants with something as gentle as a plant food like liquid dirt. Again, check out my fertilizing video if you want more information on that. How do you safely move plants? Check out my upcoming moving vlog. Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, and you can see me move all 75-ish of my plants. I also do have a moving vlog from my previous move. That one was a bit more chaotic. I'm sure this one will be chaotic too. I have a few resources already on my channel and will come out, so check that out if you want some moving tips. Do you ever wish you didn't get into plants? Not at all. I love plants. And the last question is a wardrobe staple. I think if you follow me on Instagram, you probably already know, but a good classic turtleneck that you can layer underneath things is like perfect. It's perfect. You can put it under a sweatshirt, under a sweater vest, under a collared shirt, under a t-shirt, under a long sleeve shirt, under overalls. Like the list goes on. You can wear it just by itself. It's perfect. There is nothing better than like a neutral, well-fitting, comfortable turtleneck, and I will die on that hill. I'm happy to end this Q&A on that note because I'm very passionate about that. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm so sorry if I didn't get to your question. I still really appreciate it. I also didn't answer, like some of them were very similar, so I tried to pick the more frequently asked questions. Follow me on Instagram if you want more updates on my little silly life. Please subscribe, like, comment, hit the notification bell, check out my merch, all that good stuff. Yeah, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Huge thank you to all of my members. Thank you to O'Neill, Val, Katrina, Audrey, Louie, Heather, _B, Jacqueline, Brooke, Daniel, Vanessa, Michelle, Tori, Candy, and Pam. You guys are the best, and I'll see you in my next video.